Listen to Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games in the Game Pass collection. Bring you 3 unique perspectives of rank skill range. I'm the vampire hunter of this episode, Andrew. With me, the one who always smells like garlic, Keith.
Hello.
And the one who's always crawling in the mud, Aaron.
I don't know. What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I literally just came up with this. I completely forgot I was going to do intros.
You know what I was going to...
like beef, thank you very much.
I was going to say the one who always smells like garlic and then the one who can't smell garlic.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, a little fun fact about Aaron. Aaron literally has no sense of smell.
I haven't had sense of smell in a very long time. But yeah, I literally cannot smell garlic. I kind of remember what it smells like, but it's been a long, long time.
Yeah, I've actually always been curious about that. Of like, do blind people remember what things look like? Well, I guess for you, do you remember what things smell like?
There are clearly things like I do, like are like ingrained in my brain. There are things that I forget. So after I had surgery the first time, I forgot that cardboard smelled like something.
Dude, you know what's weird? Speaking of cardboard, whatever reason, Liz finds wet cardboard delicious smelling. Another fun fact.
I wouldn't even know what that's like. I wouldn't even know. Like, I have no frame of reference on that. Is that actually a weird thing to say?
It is. It's wood. Like, it's like a woody smell.
Yeah, but don't people like the smell of wood? I put on deodorants that are wood
it's like
scented.
It's like dirty.
Yeah.
It smells dirty.
I don't know. There's something about cardboard. It's almost always musty. It sits around in warehouses
wet
and
paper.
Stuff. Dust.
You guys
it also, it sits in warehouses. It goes on trucks getting delivered a lot of times. So it picks up a lot of dust, and then it gets a little bit wet and dirty.
I want you guys to describe the smell to me without using smell as a frame of reference.
Oh, no. You can't. This story always still makes me laugh. Before, I worked at a grocery store before, and I remember I was stocking the strawberries, and a lady was like, "Oh, strawberries. Oh, what do they taste like?" And I thought she was joking, and I kind of chuckled, and I went, "Strawberries? Like, how do you describe a strawberry?" And like, she was pissed. She looked at me like angry, and I'm like, I don't know how to answer this question. Like,
I think I'd be more concerned with a grown adult asking me what a strawberry tastes like.
It was weird. It's very weird.
That is kind of that is one of those interactions that would haunt me.
Oh, no, I still laugh about it this day because I remember going back there and I'm like, I think that lady was dead serious. I don't know how to answer that question.
and I mean, keep in mind, this is before YouTube existed. People weren't doing that for clicks. Like,
No.
Today, someone walks up to you and asks you what a strawberry tastes like. You're like, all right, where's your camera? Whatever.
Yeah.
All I could think of is I would just say sweet. Like, what else would you say?
I guess, yeah.
Kinda
But like, I
sweet.
chuckled because I thought she was joking. So I was like, strawberries? And she was serious.
Yeah,
Like,
then that's a
kind
missed
of tastes like the
opportunity.
red Skittles, I would say, but
The red
real.
Skittles. Be like, oh, you ever had a banana? Well, it's nothing like that.
It's not. It doesn't taste like that.
Interesting.
But no, I don't. I generally, I don't know, because like usually the go-to describing of taste is, oh, it tastes like chicken, and like I don't know. I generally don't know how to describe a lot of flavors of things.
Yeah, I do think it's an impossible task. Like, I've heard of people that are really good at like describing things to people when they're blind. Like, they have a way of being really animated, but smell is something really funny because, like, how can you describe smells without using smells as a frame of reference?
Well, you could say like nutty, musty.
Yeah, but what would that mean?
But
What would that
what does
mean to
nutty
somebody who
mean?
hasn't smelled? Like, it's that's what I'm saying. You can't really describe a smell without referencing other smells. Like, you can't.
I mean, I guess if the
A
best
smell
you
doesn't-
could do would be like describing like the sensation of it, like, but that there's so very few things that you could be like, it's like something being like so like a repulsive smell.
Because, like, if I don't have eyesight, but I could still hear and I could still feel, you can probably give me a lot to reference it and I'd get it. You cannot do that with smell. You can't.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it could be like, okay, like imagine like this smells like, if I'm trying, like, I can't say it smells like a dead body because but like,
Smell
like
of
now
dead bodies,
imagine
Becky.
what a rotting body looks like and what you feel like when you see
Yeah.
that. But it's
That's-
like now that, but you don't see that, you only smell. and your body gets that same feeling of wanting to revolt, like be like, "Ugh."
I could
But-
see I could see on extremes you could do it. Like I think
yeah,
extremes,
that's what I'm saying. Like
you
if
could
there's
100%
some, like, a
say, see
sensation
that
associated
rotting
with it.
thing in the sun right now? That's what this smells like. And I'd be like, okay, I understand. That's disgusting. It's probably hot and musty, and I get that. And I can kind of
really
connect
musty
that.
smell.
But it's only with extremes. I think with any type of subtle thing, like if you're like, oh, these flowers smell really good, and you're like, well, what do they smell like? Like, how could you describe that to me? You can't.
Floral.
Hey,
So
we will
anyway,
get to this review.
Sorry, we're 5 minutes in.
We're getting harassed in the chat right now for this review.
Speaking of the chat, I did want to point out though, David mentioned that it was code, the strawberries, and so maybe Andrew, they thought you were a sleeper agent, and that
Yeah.
question to activate you, it just didn't work. You were clearly
Yeah,
on
they-
target.
It
That's
was
why
a
she was
whole, it was a
actually
whole
mad.
born identity thing. They were supposed to say, "What do the strawberries taste like?" And Andrew then goes on a murderous rampage. That's what it was. You just missed it.
Then he just laughs.
That's why she was mad, because she's like, "Dang it,
Wrong.
we've
guy.
lost him. We've lost him."
Aaron, since you can't smell, are you always afraid that you're the stinky person?
All the time. All the time. This is an actual kind of fear of mine. So I have to have this conversation with Lindsay all the time. Like, you have to tell me if I stink, because I don't know. Like, I have no clue if I do. So you have to let me know if that's the case. So then just kind of a funny side story. We will get to a game review. Okay, relax.
I just really scared. Sorry, folks.
I picked up my then, I think she was 11 at the time. I picked up Lily she had been all day out at like Six Flags. So I go and pick her up. I bring her home and we walk in and Lindsay gets up and she's like, "Aaron, you reek like I have never smelled before. You smell horrendous." I'm like, What did I do? I've been sitting in an air-conditioned car the whole time. I wasn't even doing anything. I was like, "It's crazy." And she goes, "Nope, wait, that's Lily." She's like, "Oh my gosh, Lily, have you just been baking in that car on the ride home?" But I was like, "Have I been like this all day?" Like I was
Man,
kind
yeah.
of
What if you
out.
sharded and you had no idea?
I
that
would
you
not know.
just.
Outside of,
Yeah,
I would feel
you must
that.
have to
But
be a lot more careful. But yeah, it must make situations like that nice. Like you took that whole car ride home and you didn't realize how bad she stank up the
No,
car.
I've never smelled my kids. I don't know. Which when you're changing diapers, it was great. I've never had an issue with that.
Gosh,
at
that
all.
phrase just sounds kind of sad. I've never smelled
No,
my kids.
I mean even with teenagers, not having to smell them is pretty great.
All right.
So-
But then I ask, if you were to lose a sense, which one is worth losing? Not hearing, not seeing, not tasting. I need to have that. I still do taste. As far as the way I describe it is, I think I probably miss subtle things in food, but I can still taste food. I wouldn't want to lose my sense of feeling. The best sense to lose is your sense of smell.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose and I didn't fully lose my sense of taste, then yeah, I would say smell.
Yeah, if I lost
There's-
my
there's a
taste
l-
with it, I think I'd be pretty miserable.
Because smell is one in particular that you're much more susceptible to having unavoidable negative experiences with. Like you
Oh,
can,
yeah.
secondhand
When
smoke
Mason's ripping
or
it in
just
the
being
car.
in the car with a stinky kid. Like
Lindsay's rolling down the windows gagging, and I'm sitting in there like, I'm just bathing in it. I don't even know.
can I turn on the heat? I'm kind of cold.
All right.
10 minutes in. All right. Anyway, welcome to Game Pass Grab Bag. This week we were covering Vampire Crawlers. Oh, I didn't write the whole name. down.
Vampire
Yeah, okay.
Survivors Crawlers.
Vampire Survivor Crawler, Turbo Wild Card, Deck Builder Roguelike.
Extravaganza.
Yeah, something like that.
Wait, is that really its full title?
Yeah.
It really is like turbo card.
No, it
something,
is not.
something.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
How have I not noticed this?
It's
All I
kinda
ever see is
wacky.
just the dungeon, the crawlers.
No, it's
It's Vampire Crawlers.
Turbo Wild.
Card.
No, okay, it's called the Turbo Wild Card from Vampire Survivors, Vampire Crawlers. Oh no, wait, nope, that's backwards. It's before we start this, I gotta get the name right. Vampire Crawlers, the Turbo Wild Card from Vampire Survivors. That is his actual full name.
Okay.
When you look on Steam, like it's even listed as that.
I actually kind of love that. Actually, that
It is kind of funny.
they named it
'Cause-
something that stupid.
I know, because they did it originally for the trailer, and it was just like, oh, ha ha ha, like that's not real, like it's like a placeholder thing. And then they're like, nah, we're keeping with it.
We'll just keep it.
Yeah. But anyway, this is brought to you by Ponkel, the creators of Vampire Crawlers. Vampire Crawlers, if you remember, really kind of created this genre of an auto battler survivor. And, they were kind of the tent pole of it. And so now they're stretching their vampire wings out and trying a new game. Now, instead of top down, you are in a first person view. You are walking on a map. You are fighting the usual monsters, but this time it's a deck builder roguelike. You play the cards that you normally find in the game that are the weapons, fight monsters, level up, and keep progressing. But is there anything else way to describe this? But no. But let's get into this. Whether or not this is a game you should play or something you should pass on. So as I said, Vampire Survivors was, the beginning of a trend of a series that I think all of us have all become quite addicted to. So it's kind of cool to see that they are trying something new and different. And I got to say, it is very addictive. It is a lot of fun. I'm going to give it a game. But I don't think it's hitting me as much as Vampire Survivors did when Vampire Survivors came out. To me, I find this a bit easy, which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice that I don't feel like I have to do a whole lot of grinding to get to a really godly point into the game and really kind of win most of my runs. But as far as it goes, it's a very fun game, very addictive, very easy to pick up and put down, continue and to stop. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with Vampire Crawlers.
So I think it's a definite game, and this is going to be one of those weird ones where I don't want to preview the score. The score isn't going to be as high as me saying a definite game is on it, but purely it's a definite game because well it's a roguelike, and I think it fits all of the things that I love about the genre. I have a ton of fun with it, and I really like the card spin on it. I don't want to say I was hesitant, but I was like, I don't know how this is going to play out when you take an auto battler and turn it into a card game. And even the trailers just didn't really make sense. It just looked like this really weird looking 2D or 3D world. Didn't make a lot of sense, but it's a ton of fun. And you're right, it is easy. I think if they keep evolving it like they did Vampire Survivors, it'll still probably be pretty easy, but it's gonna have a lot of content that's gonna keep it fresh despite the ease of it overall. And truthfully, I think Vampire Survivors was super easy after maybe 10 runs. I felt like I rarely lost in that game because you just can very quickly beef things up, and really just by unlocking more things, just having the flexibility to have more items, that does it. So I would counter that. I don't think it's much different than the original in that aspect. So I think it's a ton of fun. It's one I can put down after a bit because it gets a little repetitive, but Vampire Survivors was the same way at the end of it. And so I think it's a nice balance. I really like it.
Yeah, if you've been listening to this podcast or watching this podcast for any bit of time, this should be a no-brainer that we were all going to like this game because this is just a genre of game we still love. Heck, my game of the year last year was Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. And I'm still playing it almost every day today with the new
might
expansion.
be 2026 game of the year.
It could be. It did have an expansion this year, so I think it's eligible again. So yeah, now I've loved those genres. So by the way, this is a game. But you know what I have not loved? I have not gotten into the roguelikes deck building. You guys like Monster Train. I wasn't a big Monster Train guy. That didn't do it for me. I know you guys loved Slay the Spire. I did not care for Slay the Spire. I just don't care for the deck building aspect of these. It's not very fun for me. I don't really enjoy that. You want to know why? I think it's because I like this genre because I can turn my brain off. Once you start adding in, I have to start making these decisions in the deck. I get a little bit more all right, I got to kind of focus on this a little bit because I could screw this up. So this game is an easy enough deck builder that I felt like, okay, I can get behind this. This is pretty enjoyable. I'm with Andrew on almost all of that. I think this is pretty easy. I really didn't think this one was very challenging almost at any point. But it was fun. It's still not like a not enjoyable game to play. I do like these with a little bit more challenge, but it feels like a game that was really easy to kind of not exploit, but you can figure out very easy paths to become pretty unstoppable in it. But yeah, all in all, had a good time with it. I'll still play it, but is it going to replace my love for something like Deep Rock Galactic Survivor? No, not yet.
Well, the story, Vampire Crawlers.
Yeah. What is the story, Andrew?
It takes place in rural Italy, 2021, where you are playing as the Belpese family, and you are fighting.
Hold on, like 5 years ago?
Are you making this up?
No,
He probably
and you are
is.
fighting the evil Viscount Draculo.
In 2021.
Yes.
Like-
It's the running joke of it, but no, that is the story.
Is that when Vampire Survivors came out? The first one?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of more reading, I guess, the story of Vampire Survivors, because I'm looking up the Vampire Crawlers is literally just an adaptation continuing of that story. But yes, you're not fighting Count Dracula, it's Viscount Draculo. It's a knockoff of Count Dracula.
Wait, wasn't that the issue? Isn't that what we debated when we reviewed Vampire Survivors, that you never actually fight a vampire?
Correct.
I mean, it's not even a debate. It's 100% of a fact. And like
Yes,
they
it is.
joke
It
about
is actually the running joke. Well, I googled it, and there kind of is a vampire now because they did do a Castlevania crossover, and you can unlock a vampire to play as.
That does not count.
But I don't think you still actually fight any vampires.
Yeah,
But that
I
is
mean,
the running joke.
But yeah, because you're always looking for one, and it's they do the Mario.
They
thing,
say, yeah,
like,
your
"Oh,
vampire's
sorry,
in
they're
another
not-"
coffin.
Yeah, so you're always on the hunt, but you're fine.
I've always said, though, that these games, outside of Hades is the only one that has a story that is cohesive to the gameplay. These stories don't make... I mean, they're kind of jokingly making fun of the fact that their story doesn't make any sense.
And that's why I'm going to complain. I kind of wish it was a story because clearly they have humor and it's funny. It is funny of them kind of saying your vampire's in another coffin. I want a little bit more of a story. And like I said, reading that, the whole that you're kind of playing this Italian family in 2021.
Not that I think it needs it. I don't think that it needs it. However, I do think actually in this game, it would have worked a little bit more than it would have in the other one. Like, right? The other one is just...
Because of the first person perspective?
Yes. And the fact that you kind of like start out in a town. Like, it looked like they had a little bit of world building there. So it felt like if you were to develop one, this one wouldn't have been a bad one to do it in.
No, and that's fair. I think there's aspects, even like the boss battles, where again, like you mentioned, because of that kind of first person ish aspect, you come face to face with the boss. It pauses because it's a deck builder before your turn starts. There could be a quick dialogue sequence. Like, I will begrudgingly admit that sure, there is an avenue that it could have worked, but I don't think it would have made this game any better or worse for me. It wouldn't have changed a lick of how I felt about it, but it would have worked. I will accept that.
Because you have to come back to this question on, does having a story just to say you have a story, is that any better than just not having one at all?
No, I mean look at Mixtape.
Oh,
Got him.
you burned. Because there is a part of me that thinks like if they just put in a crappy story just because they could go put one in there, like does that actually make it better for me? And it's like, no. So I'm not with you on this, Andrew.
I like
don't
David
think
made a good point of you don't slay spires and slay the spire.
Yeah, what the heck is that?
Actually, no, you are trying to slay the
Yeah,
spire. There's a heart at the top of the tower you're trying to kill.
All right, we're back in.
Yeah, that's true.
I
I just never made it that far.
All that to say, I think just throwing in a story for the sake of throwing in a story is not gonna do it any services.
I think it would. I think because I think it's funny. It goes the
Okay,
way
hold
they're
on.
kinda doing things.
Do you think? Because going back to Hades, because to me Hades is the gold standard for a roguelike game that has a storyline interwoven into it. Do you think this game could have ever achieved a story half interesting? as a
No.
deck
Yes.
builder.
Yes.
You're a liar. You're a liar. You're just saying that.
The story that you read, Aaron legitimately questioned whether you were making it up on the spot, and I just outright said, "Yeah, you are," because that's how nonsense it is. So you're telling me you want that into now? Again, could they do it in a way that's funny? That makes it kind of fun. Yes, they could do it, but does it improve the gameplay? Does it need to exist? None of those things are a yes. Those are both
I mean,
easy no's.
I'm curious of like if you were like, oh yeah, if we had put a story as good as Hades, like the game would have took another 8 months or something like that. Then I probably would have been like, yeah, no, don't worry about the story. I'd rather have the game sooner. So I'm curious if there is like some sort of time trade off too.
I mean, I feel like to put together the work of what it takes to not even because Hades is like the greatest story ever, but to put that level of effort into it, mostly because of building it into a roguelike. And Aaron mentioned this, like keeping the dialogue fresh every time, having it reference your previous run, things like that. That's got to be more than 8 months worth of work to begin with. And on top of that, it would feel weird in a game like this, and maybe because it had the history of Vampire Survivors where it's already been a little bit goofy, where if they took this like big serious storyline with me, I'd be like, this feels jarring and out of place. Like, spend more time on just giving me more fun things to do. Let me break this game in different ways instead of the same 3 ways that I found.
That's what this game is. That's what this game is. I sometimes, I mean, I'm going to take a shot at Andrew directly here. I think sometimes Andrew just wants to take a shot at a game just for taking a shot at it. Because I don't think adding just some type of story in here was going to make this game a lick better.
He's a contrarian.
No,
We
because
can say
I
it.
always, when I'm reviewing my game, I always break it down of what do I give the story? What do I give the music? What do I give the graphics? The things we covered. And if you don't have a story, well, then you get a 0. Like it's gonna affect me. Like I want a bit of a story.
No. I look at it in the. I look at
Pac-Man
it as the
actually has a
whole.
story, but does it need a story to like? Don't the point? And any game can be fine with a story. I will not ever dog on that. It just everything doesn't need to have a story. If it needs to have a story, go read a story. Go watch a movie. Go watch a TV show.
Requires reading.
I think I look
need
at
flashing
more,
lights.
I look at it more this
Having
way.
a story in a game would require reading.
If you're gonna commit to something, do it right. That's
Yes.
more how I look at a game. If you're gonna commit to and say, this is the game we're building, these are the things we're offering, do those things right. If you're gonna give me a story and it's a crap story, well now it hurts you because you committed to the thing and the thing was bad. So
I can't wait till we play a game and you go, there's no gameplay. And it'll be like, well, you don't need gameplay.
Okay, but the core tenet of a video game is the ability to play it. We are handed a controller, so it is a little different in that sense. But you can screw that up too, where the gameplay can be just straight up bad. And we've had plenty of those conversations too, where we've said, I wish this game had more gameplay. It actually gave you more things to do. So we've done that too, Andrew. So I don't look at this and say each category has to be filled. I just say what categories you're providing as in playing this game. Do I think it would have served it better if it was there? And in this case, like we've talked about it too, where music plays a factor too. I don't need a full orchestra in every single game I play because it doesn't fit every game I play. So
No,
in this case, I don't think it would have served it. I think it's totally fine that it's not there.
No, and you make the perfect distinction. There is a difference between having some of it and doing it poorly and having none of it altogether. Go back and we'll listen to our Brotato episode. I know none of us will, but go back and listen to it and tell me where I said, boy, I wish there was some story to this. Never, because it just didn't.
I
exist.
still want to know, am I a potato or an egg?
I do need
We
to
are
know that.
But that's not story.
It's not story.
And you're still. Yeah. But the second thing is that go back and find any game that had some level of a story that was probably like this. Did they do any good job at it? And if not, it was probably like. But now personally, I probably said I just didn't care and I moved past it because that's not the point.
I
of
remember we
roguelike.
played Witcher 3 and you were like, I didn't pay attention to the story. I don't care. And it was like, that was The Witcher. Like, that game had a great
Yeah,
story.
that's like an iconic story.
I know. And Keith was like, "Bad wasn't paying attention." That was the episode Keith got roasted on.
I did.
Go back and listen to that episode, folks.
But I don't get deeply ingrained in some of those huge stories. Claire Obscure was probably one of the few rare exceptions. There it is.
Every episode, gotta mention it.
That's like a rare instance of a story really being impactful to me. But yeah, in terms of Vampire Crawlers, the turbo card from
The Turbo
Puckle,
Wild Card from Vampire
yeah,
Survivors.
yeah,
We
The-
do
in
need to
terms of
call
that-
it by its full title from here
Yes.
on out.
I'm
every
gonna call
time.
it by its Christian name.
But yeah, I didn't need it, and I want more characters. I want more items. I want more combinations. I want more fun things to do with the game, because there probably already is handfuls of different ways I can break the game, but I pretty much know that if I set up my same like 3 characters, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have just an unlimited combo, and I will whittle everything down and eventually get strong enough, and that's about it.
Well, since you guys attacked me, now I'm going to be bitter, and now I'm just going to roast this game. I'm going to roast this game miserably. So you want more characters, Keith? Well, guess what? You got the exact same characters in Vampire Survivors. Oh, you want new weapons? Well, guess what? You got the exact same weapons as Vampire Survivors. So this game is just copy and paste everything. So it sucks at its gameplay now. How about that? Are you guys going to
Are
see
you
like,
done?
oh, no, you're right, this gameplay. They didn't do a good job with this gameplay.
No, it's the same characters and weapons, but it plays different. It's not the same game. It's a
Yeah, it is. All right, but getting into the gameplay of Vampire Crawlers, to the Turbo Wild Card for Vampire Survivors. As I said, so the game starts off, the trailer, if you ever saw the trailer, that's literally how this game starts off, which is actually pretty funny, where you're playing, you see your character kind of fighting the typical Vampire Survivors, and then the camera just goes, boo, and just moves down in a really kind of crappy but awesome way, because the graphics are super low quality pixel. But the game turns into first person. You're playing as your crawler. Well, kind of. You're not technically playing as your crawler, because you get to play the crawlers as cards. So who are you playing as in this game?
And there's
don't
multiple. And
know.
you can have multiple.
only there was
crawlers out
story.
there. No.
But anyway, you're in a grid. The map will vary depending on the dungeon, but you literally are moving. You literally press forward, backwards, left, right, turn your camera left and right, and it's just a very kind of turn-based dungeon, like very old school 90s RPG dungeon crawler. You're going up, you find the enemies, and you start a card battle. You literally pull out your cards. Some are attacks, some are buffs, some are defense. Play the cards. You only have so many mana. Some cards cost no mana. Some cards cost some. But if you can play the cards in a certain order, from 0 mana, 1 mana, 2 mana, you build up a combo. The cards get stronger. And that is essentially rinse and repeat. Anytime you level up, you get some new cards, or you could get some gems to upgrade your existing cards. So let's say, you have the whip. The whip is usually pretty weak damage, 15, but you could get a gem, make it do double damage, or make the damage become spicy damage. Make it so the card returns to your hand when you use it. These small little gems are very simple to read and understand. But it's so easy to break the game with these things. Go around, find the boss, kill the boss, advance to the next floor. Each dungeon has a certain number of floors from 1. I think the most I had was 8 on like one of the farther ones. I think I did go to the 8 floors. But basically go to each floor, fight all the bosses. Once you beat the final boss, you win the run. Head back to town in some Italian
your
town.
coin.
Did they? Yeah, and spend the money you get, buy new artifacts, get new crawlers, upgrade all the crawlers with the powers you can get, upgrade the cards so they have more gem slots, and just keep rinse and repeating. That is the gameplay loop over and over again.
stop doing that, Andrew.
It's a roguelike. It is.
He-
that is what
he
it
made
is.
it
Yeah,
right.
but you're kind of coming at it with this negative slant right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Eventually, you get in a car and start driving around.
Okay,
And
you're like,
nothing changes. It literally is
rinse
repeating.
and repeat. You gave it a game, okay? We all like this game. Stop acting like now you got to go and be this guy that's now like, oh, roguelikes just do the same thing over. Yeah, that's why
No,
we
because
like
you
them.
said I just want to slight a game to slight it or be mad at it.
It kind of feels like that. A
Now
little
I'm
bit,
going
and you're
to.
not really helping your case right now. The way you're coming at it, You're not wrong though. That is the game.
Don't
That
do
said,
this, Andrew.
you
okay,
are
but you are
right.
right. You do.
But I think so. What I've always said is these games, to me, live and die on the meta progression, right? So the great thing you're doing to kind of advance your progress, to me, this day, Deep Rock Galactic Survivors is the best. Its meta progression is my all-time favorite. And it's
Really? You think it's the best?
I think the masteries are super addicting. I think the gear upgrades that you get are super addicting.
In Deep Rock Galactic, not this game.
In Deep Rock Galactic, this game is good, but it's not that different from Vampire Survivors. Like it's different, but I don't think it's that much better.
The only thing different about it is its menu. In Vampire Survivors, it literally is just text menu. In this one, you kind of get to explore a town.
Yeah, but well,
Kinda
in this
plays into
one,
the theme.
kind of like you mentioned, you're upgrading different things. Where if I remember in Vampire Survivors, could you upgrade your survivors?
Yes. You got golden eggs.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember you could there was a menu of things you can upgrade, but you're not upgrading like your items. The items are always the same. You're upgrading them when you're in game. So your meta progression was somewhat limited. I feel like it's still somewhat limited in this. And that's again where I say like these games live or die to me on that meta progression. That's the thing that keeps me coming back. Because it's fun doing the run, but I also want to build for something greater for the next time. And I want the progression to get harder and harder as I'm going along. I still think that this game kind of suffers in not fully realizing that. And this feels like it was primed for the ability for a lot of upgrades, for a lot of things to build into it.
So it's been a while since I've gone back to Vampire Survivors,
been a
but if I
while.
recall, it's nice. If I remember, it hasn't added anything greater really in that whole meta progression realm. It's still basically like you're seeing your upgrade menu and your eggs, and that's about it. And that's truthfully where
You can
get
play with
super
2-player now, though.
Well, that's true, but that's where you could get super overpowered was the eggs. You could just once you started to get those just a little bit, you could basically sit there in infinite levels. So it got kind of wild. But anyways, this you're right, it is the same. Upgrading the cards is vastly different in the aspect of Andrew kind of briefly talks about these gems. It really is the main difference of this game because in Vampire Survivors or really any bullet hell style of game, you're limited to usually like 6 weapon slots, whatever the case may be. And maybe not a lot of deck builders do this, but you can have more cards, less cards. The one thing I would say that really sets Vampire Crawlers, the turbo card,
Turbo
Don't
Wild
Don't
Card
even
from
attempt it.
Vampire
Just don't even,
Survivors.
you're embarrassing yourself.
can't do it. Andrew has it up in front of me. He's cheating. He's using journalistic integrity. I don't like it. So the point I'm getting to is that where this is different to me is so many deck builders have variations of like, well, some decks you kind of want to like run lean on your cards. There's no lean in Vampire Crawlers. It's all about have as many cards as you can possibly have, and you're just going to wildfire play all of them. And that's where they kind of make it feel like the bullet hell, which I think is fun. In the aspect of it, it makes it feel like for Vampire Survivors while still being a deck builder game. And that's where it's also just a little bit easier than a lot of these are because you're not having to have these like intricate strategies. They're very simple strategies. I do think there's possibilities to make it more fun and add more things, and we can get into that. But as it stands right now, that is what makes this easy and accessible. Is it really strength? It goes on. Just take everything. It will all work out in the long run.
Yeah, in one sense, it's probably a little too easy, but in another, I'm with you. Like, because as I had mentioned, that's exactly been my point. Is I have not cared for deck building games. They're just like I get a little too stressed out by thinking about like my management of all of this. Where this, you don't really have to do that, and I think that's a good point. As it kind of feels like you're playing Vampire Survivors, the original game. and you're constantly getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and things are just stacking on themselves. This kind of gives you that same feeling, just in a deck building. It's just an interesting take, but I don't think this reinvents the wheel.
One thing I think is kind of odd. The creator of Vampire Survivors, Ponkel,
Mr. Ponkel?
Senor Ponkel, he used to work at a casino, and I remember this is one of the things. Like the big thing that really hooked people in Vampire Survivors was the chests. It always exploded and did music and things were flying everywhere. Because he said that of like when you work at a casino, like you need to have this quick endorphin hit of like something big and exciting is going on. That's what keeps people coming back. And it worked. Like it definitely showed like that simple kind of animation is really what had people coming back. But they got rid of that animation. Like you kind of, it does a little bit of the music, but it doesn't have quite that flash.
I will say you're right. Hey, that is missing.
Is it though? You just played, for anyone watching the video, Andrew did just play the trailer. There's a lot of things exploding on that screen.
True.
It's just not the chest.
But it doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like the slot machine. You would know, Aaron. You love slot machines.
I don't know if I'd agree with that. I think that this does do it. It's not doing it for the chest, but it's doing it for all your animations. Everything's very flashy in this game. I don't know if I would look at this and say this is any less of that. All you're bringing up is, yes, the chests in the original one were kind of like a big confetti explosion. But this is full of, again, play that trailer again. Tell me where that's not just blasting graphics in your face the entire time.
Well, okay. Well, I kind of wanted to get to a point to this. And, like, this is one thing why I don't think I like crawlers as much. To me, it feels a bit slower. I kind of get annoyed of, like, when I play Vampire Survivors, there's usually kind of a point where I can just kind of put the controller down and just sit back and watch things explode and get exciting. But in crawlers, you always have to be playing. Like I said, you have this system of cards will have different levels of mana. And if you play them in order from 0 to whatever, or negative, you can actually get cards with negative mana, so they'll give you mana. You will build a combo. And I never felt like I could just be like, oh, there is a button to literally play all the cards in your hand. But obviously it doesn't play them in an order. It just plays them from left to right. So it just kind of throws all the cards out. And so like because of that, I always felt like I had to focus on this game, which is kind of a disappointment. Because that's one thing I like about Survivors, like I said, being able to kind of watch TV. I usually like to have like something up, like I've been watching One Piece. I could watch One Piece while playing Vampire Survivors. In this, I'm always kind of, and not only that, the between the battles felt like filler. I didn't feel like there was any strategy because there's usually just about 2 paths. And it's not like I look at a group of monsters and go, oh no, those are hard monsters. I got to go over this way. And maybe I'll do better with these guys. Like there's things you can smash to get rewards, but it was kind of just filler. So to me, I got to say, I don't care for the whole crawler aspect. I like the deck building aspect of this game, but the actual crawling and exploring, I didn't care for.
I will agree with you on this aspect. To put the word,
yes,
the turbo crawler aspect into it.
Keith is still trying with that name.
No, I'm not trying. I'm just, okay. It really just, it's the turbo aspect in general. They make it seem like, hey, this is the fastest paced card game you've ever played. And you're right about the all play, but the all play feels meaningless. I will say about that, however, as you start to get to a point where it becomes, I don't want to say meaningful, but you have just so many cards and you don't want to take the time to go through, you're kind of getting through some of these little mob fights. It is effective enough. You probably have enough cards that are going to give you mana, give you more cards that just any random assortment without the buff is going to get you through that fight with relative ease. And it's going to do it quickly. So it does, but it still doesn't feel fast because I still have to sit there and wait and hit the all play button and then hit the all play button and all of that.
Whose dog is?
Yeah, Keith, is your dog dreaming?
She is, yeah.
It also kind of sounds like she's laughing at you.
She's old. She has arthritis, and she's dreaming right now. So she's just a mess.
All right. I mean, all right. First off, I kind of want to go after Andrew for being like, I don't like. I like the game when I can just put a controller down and watch TV. That is just about one of the worst takes I've heard on a video game. Although, I will say the crawling part would have been better if the game was a little bit more balanced in its difficulty. Like, I think the idea of crawling and having to make decisions, it would have been better if there was kind of risk reward. But there really isn't a risk reward issue. You know, it's very easy to get very powerful in this game. It's not very difficult. So you do run into that situation where you're crawling and it's kind of like, it doesn't matter which way I go. It doesn't matter what I attack. Like, I'll be all right. I'm going to be fine. If there was some better risk reward, so certain enemies were going to be a little bit more challenging for you, but they could potentially give you a much bigger thing.
Pokemon style surprise enemies, like give me a little flash screen and they pop up a fight, or
Even in even in the idea of you picking your survivor, which you play that person, if that person had pluses and minuses to them, where it was a little bit more obvious when you're crawling, oh, I don't want to fight those types of enemies. I struggle with those types of enemies, but the reward for doing that could be really good. I think that's how you probably should have balanced it. Because I will agree with you in the sense that the crawling part of this feels pointless, but I don't think that wasn't a fixable issue. I think they needed to go back over this and find ways to balance that so the crawling aspect is rewarding.
If the mobs moved a little bit, like if you had a counter of every 3 moves that you make, they move 1, like something like that, so that there's some like, okay, I have to think about how I get through this room if I'm running low on health and I need to avoid the enemies. It just feels like, you just run around and
you can just kind of go around them. To me, again, I think that's where you kind of do a little bit of there needed to be some more difficulty scaling. I think a lot of those problems in the gameplay is solved by just kind of making it a little bit more difficult at certain points. Because it isn't a very hard game. It just isn't.
Aaron, why do you put 30 Rock on the background when you don't even watch it? Why put on a TV show when you don't watch it?
Again, I said to you earlier, a video game puts a controller in your hand for a reason.
I'm still playing the game.
You said you like to put your controller down and just look at it.
I meant that figuratively.
Andrew says, "Oh, I want to have to be able to watch One Piece," and then he's gonna sit here and complain about there not being a story. Why do you need a story in this game if you want to have something on in the background? I don't need 2 stories at once. He likes a video game, but he will just go after it for no reason, and he'll come up with contradictory statements the whole time.
I am not contradictory at all.
And then people write in the comments that my take was bad when Andrew's the one over here constantly just talking out of his butt.
Because I am always right.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not talking out my butt, nothing.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Andrew. You literally said you would rather this game have a bad story than no story at all because you gotta give it your score in that category. Oh, get out of here. That's talking out of your butt.
Well,
he's got nothing. He's got nothing.
He's crying.
I mean, no, I was.
If you're watching the video,
to make some
Andrew is
farting
sobbing
noises,
right
but
now.
I was like, nah, that's too. That's too lowbrow. I can't be. Doing
Oh
that.
yeah. Good.
We're too classy here.
Said no one ever.
But yeah, I do agree with you, Aaron, of the meta progression. I do love this game's meta progression. Like, all that you're doing when you're playing these games, you're collecting gold coins. And I like that this game really does hand you quite a bit. Because I like the features of anytime you're unlocking artifacts, you're essentially unlocking more of the game. Like, it's these simple things of, oh yeah, now bosses, you can now overkill them, which gives you a bunch of money. So then you can kind of play in your cards accordingly. But speaking of the bosses, there's one thing that was kind of annoying. What's with the eyes? Like, there's this mechanic
Still
this
haven't
game
figured it out.
introduces. Yes, okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I kind of have an idea what's going on, but it just happens. It's not like, oh, hey, there's a new mechanic now. Bosses are going to be doing this. You got to plan accordingly. From what it seems like is normally when you play is you have your deck. Once you run out of mana, you pass your turn. It's the enemy's turn. But obviously, like if you have a deck where you're constantly building mana, you can maybe never end your turn. And so I think that is the mechanic of what happens of how bosses go. They now have an eye system, and every time you play a card, they gain eyes, like like actual little eyes, and once it fills up their bar of how many eyes they have, they do a move. So even though it is your turn, the boss can still attack you. That's what I figured is happening. But it's also, I don't get what's triggering it. Does it mean they're almost dead? Is it like a berserk mode?
If I'm honest, I actually haven't figured out how the damage system works of like how I know how much damage is going to be done to me. I just know
There's
to
it
try
literally
to
says
kill
above their
everything.
head, 12 damage is coming at you.
But this goes back to it being easy enough that it never mattered.
It never
Like,
mattered.
Like there's probably times I mean I did lose some runs, and I'm sure there was times I was like running low and I was like, oh boy. But if I was really even close enough, I was like, I need to basically have like a perfect series of events happen, or I'm gonna die and just restart. And I bet you I lost probably less than 10 times.
How far are you?
I've done all but I think the last boss.
Nice.
I've unlocked all the characters.
Why,
Well,
Andrew?
no, I have like
What's
2
wrong?
more.
What?
What's wrong? You have a look on your face.
Hey, no.
How many times have you died?
Like one.
Baloney! You're a liar.
No, I don't know. I've done a handful. But I guess I'm not as far. I'm all the way up to Weenie Bridge.
I think it might have taken me like a couple tries on that bridge.
I like
And
there's these bridges that are like checkpoints essentially. They're like skill checks.
A little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I just the game kind of once, like you said, once you start to get money where you can get a couple of the upgrades. I I don't know how Aaron didn't catch this. Like maybe I was wrong. Your comment about the meta progression was that it wasn't that great in this game, and then Andrew said, "I agree
He
with
loved it.
Andrew, or I agree with Aaron
Yeah.
about the meta progression. It's really great. There's a lot of it." Wait a minute. There's not a lot of it. In
Okay,
this
I
game.
wasn't listening to Aaron. I
It's
heard
kind
him
of
mention it.
It's kind of just the cards. Like
I'm gonna be.
you unlo-
This
'cause
is Andrew's
the-
worst episode. I'm calling it right now. Andrew has been horrendous.
There's been some real misses.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, I saw it on Keith's face too, and Andrew was like, "I agree with Aaron. The meta progression is pretty great." And Keith's face was like, "What? Like what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did not say that. I literally said the opposite." But okay.
Okay, so I was right. Yeah, I like you unlock the characters, you unlock the items, and really the other things you unlock are just quality of life. Like overkill
Yeah.
is a way to earn extra money because you kind of get capped pretty early in making money. You unlock the artifact that lets you auto kill the first floor of a run if you've already beat it. Like really it's just a bunch of quality of life things, and they're good. I like having them, but nothing like, oh man, that's a new feature. This is cool. It now all of a sudden Andrew's got me attacking the game because he's so nonsense. This is how messed up this is right now.
I agree with you, Keith.
I'm the one
I agree with
attacking
Keith.
it.
Aaron does have bad takes.
I don't understand. We all said we liked this game. I don't understand. And it all started with Andrew just complaining about a lack of story, and it just devolved since then.
I felt attacked. Okay.
Oh,
See, you asked the question and then you felt attacked.
yeah.
So yeah, the truth is it's the game in its state right now, it almost feels like it should have a game preview attached to it. And I don't say that as an attack against it. There's such a little content in it that it feels like it needs more. I think there's even I think there's only is Weenie Bridge the second bridge?
I think so. Yeah, and there's I think 3. It
there
is the
3?
second bridge.
If there's 3 bridges, then maybe I'm not as far as I think I am, but I'm fairly certain I'm at the last castle. Anywho,
It kind of lacks replayability.
that's kind of what I'm saying. Like once I get there, like yeah, I can meta progress to the point where okay, I've maxed out all my cards, but maxing out the cards doesn't feel that fun when they don't need to get stronger by the end. And truthfully, most of the runs don't even last long enough for me to max out cards. So that's probably my biggest gripe about it. But it goes to the hand of it being a little too easy. is like the meta progression and all the things I unlock don't feel necessary.
Well, you know what I just realized what this game's missing? With like every rogue-like deck builder now, there's not a prestige system. Monster Train has it. When you beat a run with cards, like they become golden. Balatro does it. Wild Frost does it. Anytime, like, now think about it, just about any deck builder game has like a prestige system that if you do a challenge with the cards, like you get kind of a new frame with them. And this game doesn't have that, or at least that I've seen. I guess you are farther.
It needs something like that though. Like it needs something to grind for. Like
Yeah.
that kind of area of the replayability is, I think, a big part of it. And we mentioned this back. It's just so funny how many of these types of games we just play. But even going back and talking about Ball Pit, I remember one of the things Andrew had mentioned, which was, again, a really good point and something I do think needs to exist in more of these games.
do have good takes.
Like, why not even just put a simple leaderboard on there?
Yep.
Find a way to create a scoring system. All your friends are on there. There's a global leaderboard, but then there's your friend leaderboard. Give me like a reason to want to have to grind for it a little bit better and do a little bit better than somebody else. Whatever that is, whether it's these golden cards for doing these challenges as just a way of kind of working through challenges, or whether it is, you know, having a leaderboard to go and attack. There needs to be something on top of that outside of just the game itself. And that's why I say, like, it's a fun game. I enjoy the game, but is there going to be much reason to kind of come back to it? I'm sure with updates, possibly. But one of the things that sticks out to me are games that are really good at understanding their meta progression and making it grindable. That is the appeal to me.
Well, that's I mean, that's just it right there. And for one, as far as I can think of, there's no endless mode in this so far, which that's really, I think, more the biggest miss in this, because that gives me a reason to really want to max out my cards. One of the actual, I think, cooler features that we didn't even really talk about is in addition to the upgrades and like these gems, you can start to actually improve or increase and decrease the rarity of these gems. So you can actually, like, in a sense, increase the rarity of the junky gems to a point where they show up less. It doesn't actually increase their value that I've seen. It's just they show up less, and then you can decrease the rarity on the ones that are actually really good. Like you can make anything a wild card, which is
Those are great.
my favorite. My favorite in the entire game is basically just if you load everything up as a wild card, you never lose. But like those, like that's kind of cool. But without an endless, all I do is that somewhere, even without doing any of those adjustments, I can get my my deck maxed out. So it just needs a reason to use that meta progression. And truthfully, Vampire Survivors honestly suffered from the same thing, because like I was talking about the golden eggs. Once you started to load up on the golden eggs to a character, every level became a joke. Even like a new level would be released, and your character would just immediately kill everything on the screen because you had E to the 121 eggs. You know, like it was just your stats were obscene. So it's like the other game kind of suffered from it, and this is why I think so many others in the genre surpassed it so quickly. It's no disrespect to it, because I think they really, you know, carved out the hole for everyone to make a lot of great games, but it's why I don't think it's the best of them all.
Yeah. Another thing that's also kind of crazy. Do you guys know how much Vampire Survivors costs?
To make or
like-
to buy?
No, how much to buy the game.
I would
$5.
hope it's like $15 at most, but I'm guessing it's more, just based on your
$5.
question.
Aaron was right. Vampire Survivors $5. How much is
Survivors.
Vampire Crawlers?
20.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about crawlers. Yeah, 20. I would say like $20.
Vampire Crawlers is $10. This game is
bad.
twice the price. That is robbery.
I will, but they did.
I do love that
Vampire-
price point. I'm so glad that they did this game cheap.
But and they did update the first one a lot, so my
Yeah, I actually just realized the first one is co-op now.
yeah.
Aaron said,
I didn't realize that.
"Oh, geez.
Andrew,
Oh
where
my
have
goodness.
you been this episode?
You said that earlier in this episode?
Yes. Goodness gracious, this man is in another world. I'm telling you, all-time worst episode right here because of Andrew. Yes, it does have co-op. They announced that was that last year. So I think when we played Vampire Survivors, that was one of the comments we had was I was surprised it didn't have it.
Yeah, Vampire Survivors. I think it was the first game you were on this podcast.
You could be right on that one. The first time as a guest, and here I am still a guest many years later. So, yes, it's $10, but I would guess that this is going to get some updates along the way. So even if it's not, if it doesn't feel like the full finished product right now, I would expect some changes coming to it.
No, and with the other game too, they did a good mix of like free updates as well as paid updates. So you never felt like
the DLC was always like $2-3 too.
Well, yeah, it was cheap when it was paid, but they even offered a lot for free. So it like you could still get more out of the game without ever paying a dime. But to me, like I don't know. I'm sure the numbers don't work totally in favor of a business when they do this, but I think it just works better for everybody and you get more PR out of it. Just take a little bit of a concession here and there in, whether it's the lower prices, the free offering, and people will pay you that money.
Yeah, definitely. But all right, let's get into the other subjects. Audio. It is, I think, the exact same music. No, it's probably a little faster. No,
it's been a while since I've listened to the music from the old one.
I know, but some of
it's
it
at least
like,
very similar.
It sounds very similar.
Very, very similar.
I will say there's voice acting this time around.
Unnecessary, but yes.
Yeah, when you play the cards, they usually say a line.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Unnecessary, but technically, yes.
So, see, that's more production value there. Which
I've always made the argument that audio in these, usually in these types of games, because they are this repetitive game style, just don't be obnoxious. As long as you're not obnoxious, I'm usually generally okay with you in these game styles. But I've also mentioned that these games are kind of known for having some pretty killer soundtracks. Again, one that kind of stands out to me is Ball Pit. Like, I thought Ball Pit's music was really, really good. It just kind of stuck out to me. This one, yeah, it's fine.
I think, I mean, it arguably could be the same as the first one. And honestly, the sound effects are the same.
Yep.
That much I can say with pretty solid certainty that the sound effects are all the same when you play the cards that are matched to the item in the game.
Yep.
So there's that.
Yep. End of audio. Graphics. Pretty sure graphics are like the same. It's now top down. It's first person, which I gotta say, the graphics work. It's obviously not eye catching. Well, it's eye catching of how unique and like low, like pixelated it is, but I don't know. It works. I can kind of figure out what the enemies are. Like what kind of creature I'm fighting.
What I feel like is perfect about it, and I'm sure it's not an actual one-to-one of this, but it feels like if the original image had 64 pixels, these images also have about 64 pixels. Yeah. They literally just.
But you're seeing them much closer.
Exactly. It's just like, here it is, just closer. Maybe they doubled the pixels, but it's not much. And I think that's kind of perfect because it's enough that you can see it, read it easily, and it's kind of funny. Because like you said, going to the trailer of how they just build it into like zooming down in from that top-down view, I'm like, well, that's actually what the game looks like.
I will say, I always generally kind of obviously ignore the photosensitivity warning at the beginning of the game. But in this game, definitely do not ignore that warning. If you are very sensitive to flashing lights, be careful.
Oh my.
What if you're afraid of spiders, though?
Gosh, Andrew.
What?
Andrew. You literally went on this whole thing about how it's not like a casino anymore and it doesn't do anything. There's no flashing light and dopamine. And then you go, the photosensitivity warning. Because it's blasting lights at you the whole time. He literally said the exact opposite earlier.
No, I was talking about the chest. My God. The gambling dopamine hit is gone, Aaron.
You know what? You know what?
Let's go gambling.
Do you know what slot machines are known for? Lights, flashing lights. and photosensitivity warnings. But okay, all right, whatever.
But I don't get that when I go into a casino. I don't get that warning.
Yeah, I've obviously had gripes with pixelated graphics. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Like it's so overused. I will give some of these indie devs just a slight pass on this. I'm sure it is so much easier to build a game with 16-bit graphics. I'm sure that is just infinitely easier to do if you're a solo guy or if you're a small team. But I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of pixelated graphics. It kind of works for this because it's got an old school feel to it. In a way, when you're kind of walking through those corridors, it feels a lot like the original Doom or Wolfenstein. So you kind of like can get in the feeling of understanding it. I don't know though. Like especially a game like this that didn't require like there's not a million monsters on screen. Like you can almost understand in the Survivors game why you would do that. You kind of need to make sure your processor isn't exploding with everything. But this, I don't know. You probably could have done a little more.
The big thing why I like pixel graphics is game size. This game I think is a gig, maybe a gig big.
There's a trade-off there. You're not wrong.
Because there's another indie game we're going to be covering that is much larger in size.
You're not wrong. There's trade-offs that come with it. Like again, I understand on the development side why people do it. I was just getting a little sick of it because it feels like 80% of indie games that come out is like, oh, here's another pixelated game, and it's like, all right, come on, is there no art left in this? Like, the retro look was kind of like a cool little shtick, but I'm past that now. Like, I'm cool with some creativity here. Just the pixelated stuff, it just feels like there's a lot of it.
No, but I think where they get the biggest green light on it here is just purely that they did it on Survivors, and it really, and I even think a little bit just beyond the processing aspect of it when it comes to Survivors is it was kind of a play to Castlevania in some ways. So having that little like NES type of feel worked. I think it just ties in because I think going back to really my biggest kind of comment on it is it literally just looks like they just zoomed in on the game. And so if they all of a sudden went with some completely different graphic style, even just to Slay the Spire style, where it's, nice, but it's not like, oh my goodness, this is wowing. It's just fine.
Perfect for mobile.
Sure. But the point being is that if they just completely changed the art style, it would feel real weird. So they had to keep the Survivors at this point. I don't think one is about being pixelated for being pixelated sake. It's about for continuity.
I would agree. I think it was smart, kind of how, like you guys had mentioned, the kind of going into the game itself. I think was kind of a cool idea for it. So I totally agree.
But another thing that they carried over from Vampire Survivors that is awesome, and that is the achievements. So yes, I'll only say this, that yes, they may not have the chests anymore that explode when you collect them, but man, is it a good dopamine hit when you finish a run and it's just achievement, 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 and it's like, oh man, this is cool. Granted, they're all like worth 5, 10.
Don't look at the fact that you after 25 achievements you still only have 75 more gamer score, but it is still cool.
Yep. So definitely, I will say this is for achievement hunters. The achievements aren't that hard to get either. Like to 1,000 this game, take a little bit of time, but it's very doable. Not that hard.
Yeah, I think I'm already at a solid like 800 and some change.
Yeah, I think I'm at like 650. But yeah, let's get into our final thoughts here of Vampire Crawlers Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors. So starting off, I said this was a game. To me, this did not hook me as much as Vampire Survivors did. When I played Vampire Survivors, I was like, okay, I'm going to be investing a lot of time in this. Crawlers is fun. I like to pick it up here and there, but it definitely doesn't hook me as much as Survivors did. As I said, I find the actual crawling aspect of it just a little tedious sometimes. The card battling is pretty fun, though. I do love how easy it is to break the game. It doesn't require you to like master this game, know all the systems, know what all these cards do to figure out how to beat this game. No, the gems are easy to understand. How to put it into your, to upgrade your cards in a certain way. I had pretty early on, I had a deck that broke the game. It was the first time I unlocked the bone guy who threw obviously bones. I literally had on all my bone cards, anytime you play that card, draw that card from your deck. So I just kept throwing bone, 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 and it just kept going over and over again. And it was a no mana cost card. So there you go. I instantly broke the game that way. It was very easy to do. And this game just lets you do it. So there's a very easy grind to it. Obviously, there's not much of a story. Audio is still about the same. Graphics are about the same. But yes, it's nice to at least play something a little bit different of how a card deck builder game is going with the crawling aspect. But it just, I don't know, the crawling wasn't, like I said, that interesting to me. To me, this is a solid 80. Something I'll definitely keep picking up and playing, especially when they come out new updates. But yeah, it just didn't hook me as much as Survivors did.
I can't remember. Did I say this was a definite game or a game?
You said definite.
You said
did.
definite, yeah.
No, and I am gonna stick with that because I really think that this game is one that you should check out, even if you're not really familiar with the genre or if you're not overly into the genre. It might not change your mind, but I think that Vampire Crawlers does what Vampire Survivors does. Is it just makes a really good into the into the gameplay style. We didn't really touch on it much, but it does a good job of holding your hand a little bit, of being like, hey, these are the cards you want to pick to if you need to, make your merges. As long as you've even picked up the card, it will tell you that this card and this card are the ones you need to merge them. And it's, well, for us, because we're big time cool gamers, the easiness of a game sometimes might be a little bit of a sell off. It makes it more fun for people who might look at like I talked about, a card builder and say, that just seems too stressful. Like maybe you've watched someone play Balatro or you've watched someone play Slay the Spire and you're like, that takes so much thought of like, I feel like I need a spreadsheet of what cards do I need. Vampire Crawlers, just take everything, play it all, have fun, and it's a good inlet to it. So that's why I'm going to stick with my definite game. But, like I said, it's not going to be like a 90 or 92. I think an 84 is solid for this game. That's where I stand. But I definitely think, give it a shot. It is fun.
I'm going to have fun here because, right, I was thinking on the score before I got to this point. And Andrew gave it an 80. And I have to be higher than that, but I was going to go a little bit lower. So this is kind of a weird spot to be in. But
I changed my score to a 90. Now we can do Eric.
So it's just it's now put me in a little bit of a pickle here. A fun game to pick up. It's not going to replace my all-time favorites, but it might in the future. I am kind of interested to see where this thing goes. But in its current state, judging by what it has there, I would give this a 78. I think it lacks the long-term replayability right now. It lacks the kind of more interesting, nuanced meta progression. It's there, and it's not bad, but it's not, I think, the bigger part of its pull. So for me, I would give it a 78 for now. And yeah, I think that's a good spot for it.
Do you think the next game they come out with will be Vampire Runners? So they say vampires crawled so vampires could run.
Yeah, probably. At this point, it kind of feels like they're committed to the puns.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe they'd make like an actual action RPG. I thought that would be kind of fun. Like
Call it Vampire Runners.
Andrew just wants the name. He doesn't really care what the game is. It just needs to be called Vampire Runners.
You got to crawl before you can run.
See? He's very excited for this.
Yep. There you go, Poncle. You can have that one for free. All right, anyway. Thank you all so much for joining us this week. Make sure, check out Hill City Cards. Aaron has a new YouTube channel.
Stop it.
No,
Don't need to go check out Hill City Cards.
If you want to see Aaron open some sports cards, check him out. Nah, because you know what? I'm using your YouTube channel now to motivate me. You got this podcast to where it was, Aaron, because I remember you challenged me and Keith of, you guys will go nowhere with this. And here we are. Your podcast died and we absorbed you. So now I want to beat your YouTube channel.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm going to try to grow our YouTube channel more. I'm going to try to start doing more solo game reviews because we keep getting codes for some indie games, usually on Steam, but a lot of them obviously are on Xbox as well. So I'm going to try to start doing some solo review videos on YouTube. I'm supposed to do since I have the hottest and greatest takes. So make sure you go to GamePassGrabBag.com, check out our website. In the top right corner, you'll find the links to our YouTube, our Discord, and everything. But, thank you, David. That's actually a good point. You need vampire walkers first. And then you got vampire runners.
Yep. That's a great
Okay.
point.
All right, so they got 2 more sequels. They gotta
Add
come
that
out
to
with.
another bad take from Andrew tonight. That's just an all-time record. I think he's at like 15. That's crazy.
But yeah, we got some other games. We got quite a bit. We got in the pipeline. A lot of good games are coming out. Yeah, David here's already asked that we do Subnautica 2. I cannot wait for Subnautica 2.
Isn't there some like racing game coming out soon that takes place in Japan?
And yeah, nobody's heard of it though.
No, it's
Black
an indie
Jacket?
game.
But
You know, if we just
Oh,
wanna keep
Black
doing,
Jacket
our
came out
games.
today. That feels like a Keith game to the max.
oh yeah, you weren't here last week when we did a side quest episode. Yeah, we talked about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Blackjack roguelike. Yeah, that's another Keith game.
Yep. Oh.
So whatever game we pick next week, it's irrelevant because it's going to be Blackjack for Keith. He's laughing because he knows it's true. But
like me.
anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. I don't know. I got nothing else to say. We got, like I said, a lot coming out. Make sure keep your eyes open. Thank you for following. Thank you for listening. Love you all. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.